we acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, the podcast where we explore the magic of songwriting, delve into the creative minds behind the music, and celebrate the stories that connect us all. I'm your host, Simon Fink, and thank you for joining us. Our guest on the podcast today is none other than indie pop singer-songwriter Alex the Astronaut. Over the past 7 years or so, Alex has become one of Australia's most cherished songwriters, earning nominations for both ARIA and AIR Awards along the way. Their last full-length record, How to Grow a Sunflower Underwater, arrived in July 2022 and showcased their ability to tell poignant, relatable stories through music. But fans won't have to wait any longer for new music, as Alex is back today with a brand new EP, Rage and All Its Friends. After grappling with some uncertainty about their songwriting abilities, Alex embraced collaboration for this project, enlisting a stellar lineup of co-writers, including Lisa Mitchell, Benjamin Francis Leftwich, Gordi, and the legendary Paul Kelly. The result is a stunning EP that highlights Alex's growth as an artist while preserving the heartfelt storytelling that they're known for. In today's episode, we chat with Alex about Rage and All Its Friends and how embracing collaboration helped rework their creative process. We discuss what it's like writing music with Paul Kelly, how their work styles differed, and what Alex learned from the experience. We also chat about what's on the horizon, including the promise of even more new music in 2025. We want to say a massive thank you to Nat for her help with today's episode and remind everyone that Rage and All Its Friends is out right now. You'll find links in the show notes to stream the EP on Alex the Astronaut's Spotify page. And while you're there, in the show notes, don't forget to follow us across our social media channels and check out our website so that you can stay up to date with all of our upcoming guests and episodes. And with that, let's get into it. Here is our conversation with Alex the Astronaut. Please welcome to This Song Is Yours, Alex the Astronaut. Hello, Alex.
Hello, Simon. How's it going?
Going very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm just preparing, I guess. Preparing.
Look, always preparing, I feel, in life. But
yeah.
Thank you very much for coming to chat to us on the podcast today about a brand new Alex the Astronaut EP. It is out right now, and people listening to our conversation, they'll be able to go and stream it. It's called Rage and All Its Friends. Firstly, how are you feeling with this EP coming out now and these songs available for the masses to hear?
It's good. I think it's been such a long time of writing and recording and all of that. And yeah, some of the songs I've listened back to over the last few days and I'm like, oh my God, did I write that? Like there's some very unhinged lines in it. Like, yeah, in Road Rage and yeah. But it's so nice to, yeah, get to throw it out there in the world.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely love that. You might have already kind of touched on a little bit. The title is a bit playful in terms of how, I guess, recognizing emotions. But these tracks do seem to be covering, a gamut of emotions. I think there's some anger, there's some upsetness, maybe some heartbreak across this. I'm curious to kind of kick things off, chatting about going and naming a body of work and finding that balance between something that's fun but also represents the collection of songs with a sense of levity as well. How do you approach that each time that you do put out a record or a collection of tracks?
Yeah, good question. I usually wait until the end, so I've got a better idea of what I've said, I guess. And yeah, after the recording process, you get to know the songs more, and it's so funny. It's a common misconception, I think, that people kind of know what they're writing about. I think it takes after you've written it and going back a few months later to be like, oh, that's what I was talking about. That makes sense. And that definitely happens for me. And especially with this EP, which we kind of started out saying I would write a whole bunch of songs. The goal was 50 at the start. I think it ended up being about 40. And whittle them down to 6 songs. There was kind of lots of different bodies of work, I guess, in that. And when we finally got down to the 6 songs, they were the ones that stood out, I guess, because usually they're the most like emotionally powerful ones. Like you can, they're the clearest, and they're probably the clearest of what I was going through. That's why they're easy to write. And I think like naming it, it was like, oh, this is grief. Like that's what these 6 songs kind of have in common, and the different iterations of it. And I think rage is such a funny word. And yeah, I don't know. It just is a funny picture to me, I guess, like all the emotions of grief. Like when people talk about that, it's like these things that come after you, or like hanging out with you, these, I don't know, 7 or 5 or whatever you want to call it, little friends that are like, what will it be today? And I think after COVID, everyone's experiencing that in a different way. But yeah, definitely for me, that was the journey that it was going on. And I think rage was always going to be in the title, and it was just like, what next few words was it going to be? And we're always little friends, so that's nice.
I absolutely love that. And I think that, almost speaking to what you're saying, rage seems to be a good word in terms of being able to be used comedically almost. Like it has a good punch to it if you're using it in that sense. So I think it's perfectly titled.
Yeah, more so than depression, I think. Depression and all its friends is not as fun a title.
That is a very different kind of collection of songs.
Yeah.
It is a stunning EP. I want to say that off the bat. So congratulations on these songs. It is somewhat of a collaborative effort across a number of these songs with a number of different songwriters from, I want to say, your kind of life and people that you know. Before we kind of jump into talking about who and I guess the experiences and some of the tracks that were written in preparation for today, I kind of read that the idea to have it more collaborative stemmed from, I think it was more an idea, or that you kind of, I think, quote, and I want to make sure I'm quoting it correctly, that you got bored of yourself.
Yes, I did.
Mm-hmm. Just, I wanted to make sure that I quoted it and not that I didn't say that. How does one, I guess, come about that thought, and how do you then recognize, okay, this is how I change that?
I think like the weird thing about being a musician is like, well, at least for me, from my perspective, is like I was writing songs from when I was a little kid about what I was seeing, and then it becomes so much about you and like what you're thinking and why you wrote it and what you were thinking about writing it and all of that stuff. And I think that's awesome. But I think I just got to the point where I was like, I don't really know anything. Like I don't want to talk about myself in the sense of like, I don't want to be in my own head about my own ideas and my own thoughts about everything. I want to kind of add some other things into the mix and see what happens. And that's why that started. And I never really liked co-writing. I always found that I felt a bit rushed, or I didn't really know what to say in them, or I felt like I didn't really contribute. And yeah, I wanted to change that because so many of my friends did it, and I wanted to shake it all up. And that was the plan. I was just going to do a bunch of different co-writes with artists and songwriters and people, work with different producers. And it was really good. I think it was good to be bored of myself. I like definitely now, yeah, I'm glad I got to that point.
Well, isn't there an expression, and I'm definitely going to get it wrong, so I apologize to the scientific community for this, but I think that, is it every 7 years that a human sheds most of their skin, and so you're almost like a new person by that stage anyway. You want to try new things and expand outside your own head, I guess.
Absolutely. Like, yeah. when I guess 7 years is like when I started as well. Like I've been writing songs in my bedroom, and then I started playing to real people. And so, yeah, it was a completely different journey. And I think I wanted to figure out over those 7 years, like, how do I continue this thing without making music I don't like, which I don't want to do.
100%. And I think that is something that we've spoken to a few different songwriters and artists on this podcast about, is there is always wanting to do things for your fans and making sure that it's engaging for other people. But at the end of the day, Alex, you're the person who is going to be touring these songs, playing them for however knows how long. It is something that you have to be happy with and content with inside yourself to be able to then share them and go, yes, this is the truest reflection of myself, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And like, it's such an honor to kind of get to do that. I think is like, there's always this feeling, for me at least, of like, I want to contribute to the world in a good way, and I want to make things that help people, I don't know, understand themselves or see the world in different ways. And that's such a kind of narcissistic thing to do. So I'm always thinking about how to do it in the less narcissistic way. And yeah, you can definitely get in your own head about it. So yeah, making something that you like is a good way to start. And that's a good kind of true north thing to go with. And then you're like, okay, at least I like it. That maybe someone else will like it. Hopefully, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have a feeling that lots of people are going to like these songs. There's some absolutely cracker tracks across this EP.
Oh, thank you.
Oh no, of course. We have, well, not actually guests, sorry, but some of the people that you wrote with for the EP include Lisa Mitchell. I believe we had her very recently on the podcast, the lovely Sophie, aka Gordi, and I think everyone's favourite uncle or dad, the dad of Australia, Mr. Paul Kelly.
Mr. PK, yeah, he's Mr. a good PK. Uncle, dad.
When you went into the project, did you already know, I guess, or have a list of set collaborators that you wanted to work with, or was it a process that as you kind of went through some of the songs, you discovered or worked out who you wanted to have on there?
Lisa was a complete accident. So I had started writing this song called Change, and it was about how kind of I felt that things hadn't changed all that much. And I guess with Trump being elected and all of the things that are happening in the world, it just doesn't, it's so hard to get a grip on whether things are going in a good direction or what that even means. And so I was writing this song, and yeah, I was bored of myself. So I sent it to Lisa, and I sat down with my bandmate Vlada as well. And I just said, like, does this make any sense? Like, what am I actually trying to say? Like, and Lisa contributed the na-na-na-na-nas, and Vlada, yeah, it was just like a moment of levity. I think that she was like, yeah, she knew that the song needed. And then Vlada and I went through the lyrics with a kind of fine-tooth comb and made them a bit clearer. So that one was like, yeah, more on the run, whereas ones like the one with PK and Benjamin Francis Leftwich were more planned. And then Gordi, who produced one of the songs on the EP, that was very last minute. She was waiting for a passport to come in from the US embassy, and so she was stuck in Sydney for a few days. And I was like, do you want to record a song? And we ran around and did that. And yeah, I just adopted a cat, so it was all chaos. So that was really, really fun. And yeah, it was so inspiring to have these people who I'd listened to their music before I'd gotten into music. Mm-hmm. Like all of them, you know, I'd listened to Gordi when I was on the drive to soccer training, and I'd listened to Lisa when I was like 14 and going for a run, and Paul since I was 5, and Benjamin Francis Leftwich I remember listening to when I was in year 12. So it was just like, yeah, having these people that were real, just guiding lights, I guess, for me, involved in the process was really great. And have my friend Vlada there was so cool. but yeah, the PK one came about from the pandemic. So I'd messaged him during the pandemic just saying, I don't know how to write. What do I do? I've got writer's block. And he was like, just go for a walk and read a book. And then he emailed me a few times with book recommendations and stuff. And then I'd kind of taken a shot in the dark and was like, would you want to write together? And we share a manager, and I was like, Bill, do you think he'd say yes? And I was like, I think you should ask. And usually that means like, I don't think he'll say no straight up, or he's got time. And he said that he didn't have time at that time, but he wanted to do it later. And I was like, is that like have I been fobbed off? And Bill was like, no, I think like actually ask later. So a few years later, I was like, hey, Paul, like I'm doing this thing. I'm trying to record 50 songs. Would you want to do some? And we ended up writing like, I think it was like, we wrote 3 songs or something in like 2 days. And it was so cool. It was just like, yeah, it's weird getting to sit down with someone that you've learnt like everything from and watch Paul like look at a piece of paper and look at the song that we had to that point and find the problems in it or fix the problems or find the path forward. And he's so patient and considerate and just loves music. And it definitely helped with that bored of myself feeling. It was like, wow, this is bigger than all of us. Like Paul's able to really see beyond that thing and make it about music. And yeah, so that was pretty inspirational. And Benjamin, the same, very calm and patient and just like, what if we did this? And you're like, wow, that's a really good idea.
I absolutely love that though. Firstly, the fact that Paul reaches out with book recommendations. I think that there should maybe be a PK book club, but that's separate from this conversation.
Yeah, there absolutely should be.
I did want to chat about the Benjamin Francis Leftwich track. It is a stunning. I want to say this is my favorite track on the EP. It has this stunning, like intimate kind of gentle track. It's called Actually the End. And from my understanding, kind of stemmed or was born from 1 or 2 lines in your notebook that you then took to Ben and I think built on from that. Are you able to talk us through, I guess, how the song was built from there and kind of how it came about?
Sure. Yeah, it was a funny little connection. It was just between Christmas and New Year's. Chochi, who was in Gang of Youths, messaged me saying, hey, I know you're doing this writing thing. My friend Benjamin's like in Sydney for a few days if you're around. And it's weird to do a job or like to do anything in between Christmas and New Year's. So it was, weirdly intimate. I went over to the house he was staying at and we just sat on the floor and he had his guitar, I had my guitar, and Chochi sat around too, and we came up with this we looked through my book, which usually just has random lines, and it's actually the end with one of them. And he asked me about it, and he's very like curious and soft spoken and deep, and you're like, I wanted to say something profound to him, kind of. And I spoke about this, idea like when you have the breakup and then you have the actual breakup where you realize it's over. And we started writing this thing, and he had this beautiful like plucking part that we wrote the song to, and I think we did the whole song in like a day, I think, and then he went back to England. It was really great. We just pieced everything together. Like he was similar to PK in that he just like had I was like, let's keep going, let's do the chorus and do the verse and like let's hit the accelerator. And he was like, I think we should, what do you think about this idea? And you're like, okay. Like I definitely needed to take a slow down pill or something. But yeah, it was really great. And I think at the time we like recorded the song and I was like, I don't know what this is or where this would fit. And it was one of the ones that out of the 40 something, I just didn't, I think it was that I honestly didn't expect it to happen or something. And then we were doing voting amongst my team and it just kept showing up. And I went back and listened to it again and was like, wow, this is a really beautiful song. And funnily enough, he played the guitar and I just sang and wrote. So I didn't know how to play it. And so I had to message him being like, would you mind filming yourself like with a kind of guitar tutorial? And he's so sweet and was just like, Alex, don't know if this will help, but I've got this little bit that I can show you. And he like, taught me how to play it, which was very helpful for my shows a couple of weeks back because I didn't know what I was doing. But yeah, we recorded it. I recorded it with Tony Buchan in Sydney the week before I started acting school. So it all just, I don't know, that song, And when I played it at the shows I played, everyone started crying and I was like, oh, this really does connect. So it's nice when random little things work out like that.
It is an absolutely stunning track. So thank you very much for sharing that with us because, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous track. We'll make sure that there are links within today's podcast show notes for people to be able to stream the EP and listen to it. I would love to know where to from now in terms of collaboration. Is there, because I feel that there's a decent list of either heroes or friends that you've already ticked off with working on this EP. Now that collaboration is a much more kind of open idea for yourself, is there any kind of dream collabs, dream writers that you'd like to kind of work with in the future? Yeah,
I mean, like I got to write with Courtney Barnett. That was probably one that was a definite game changer, and I'd love to work with her again. Thelma Plum was another one that like we just never lined up our schedules in the same place, and she's just an amazing artist. Like Thelma, is like a once in a generation kind of artist, and I'd love to write with her. And then there's people like Phoebe Bridgers who would just be like on the dream list, and I can't think of anyone else, but I'm open to it now. So email me.
Well, look, we'll share your email. No, we won't do that.
You can.
I do love those kind of those suggestions. So like Phoebe Bridgers, Thelma Plum, absolutely stunning songwriter. So hopefully, at least if nothing, putting it into the universe to manifest some kind of exactly. For you, Alex, we are like primarily a songwriting podcast. Are you able to talk through, I guess, what it was that initially attracted you to songwriting and what got you into writing lyrics and music?
Yeah, of course. I learned guitar when I was about 11, 12. I started learning, and I started learning guitar when I was about 11. I started playing other people's songs, and I think I started by being like, I don't relate to this. I think probably because I was so young, and obviously most of the songs I was listening to were by proper adults. And so I just didn't feel like they made sense for me. So I think that kind of sparked it probably. I was like, this isn't from my perspective. And then I think I started changing the words to some songs. And then eventually I worked out, it's just a few chords and then I can make my own melodies. And I think that was around 13. And I think it came out of a place of just not really know how to communicate my emotions, and not really feeling like I could make sense of the world, I guess. And I think that was for a whole bunch of different reasons. But I think as a young person, you don't really have the language to have deep conversations with your friends and family. And so I was turning to these pieces of paper and just being like, okay, this is something that's happening, or this is something I've seen. And the songs were so bad. They were so bad. I sometimes like click them on my computer by accident and I'm like, oh my God, no. But eventually I started having experiences that I wanted to put into words. And I think that's the main thing, is like the singing and the music to me was kind of secondary, and then the words were the thing that I could make sense of. And then eventually they became equal, and I started to see how the two pieces of the puzzle work together. And I think, those first few years of songwriting, it was so fun because it was so private, and I never showed anyone any of the songs, or if I did, it was like at school assembly, and it was once. So it was like, it was kind of like personal experience. And then, I don't know, that's how that started.
And now we're here with this brand new EP.
I know, it's so weird, but I think I'm still trying to get back to that feeling of being like 13 and just trying to work it all out. And I think that's the best thing, is like remembering that you don't know, or being open to being wrong, because you can, like, I think the thing of like when you write a song, you can sometimes get a bit stuck in it and be like, no, this is really good, or this is all shit. And it's like when you just stay in the middle for a little bit, then you can go like, this bit's really good, this bit needs work, this bit's not super clear. But it's like a big puzzle, and every time you just start again.
But that's, on the flip side of that, that's almost the magic of it, in terms of that you never quite know what the puzzle is going to be. And as we said, sometimes that puzzle seems to resonate with people the world over. So it is truly a magical thing. But thank you very much for sharing your journey into songwriting with us.
No worries. Thank you.
I'm very curious to ask, I had a quick look. There was nothing that I could find in terms of tour dates for Alex the Astronaut at this current point in time. But obviously we've got a brand new EP. I feel like it would be silly of me, while I have you here, not to ask whether we can expect to see some tour dates from you maybe in the new year.
Yeah, I'm playing Woodford Festival over between Christmas and New Year's. And then I think that's it for now. I've just finished acting school at NIDA, so I've just come out of doing that. So I haven't really been playing much live, but hopefully now I'll get back into it.
I look very excited to see you back on the stage, but also very excited to see where the whole NIDA journey kind of takes you and what happens next with that, which I'm sure that there's many things that you might, maybe projects that you can't talk about now, but that we can share in the future.
Perhaps.
Well, when they do come to fruition, or when they do come out, please, more than welcome to come back to the podcast and chat to us about them.
I'd love to. This has been so nice. You have such a soothing voice.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind.
Yeah.
Alex, we usually wrap up our conversations asking our guests what they're currently listening to. For yourself, is there anything that's on high rotation at the moment?
Oh, yeah. I've just listened to this really great album. I'm just going to look up what it's called. We're Money, and it's on the Australian Music Prize shortlist. And the artist is Kankawa Nagara, and it's so amazing. It's a blues album, and you should give it a listen. It's really cool.
I think I have heard. Is it like almost like a First Nations Johnny Cash style sound?
Yes,
to it?
yeah. And it's like recorded on country, Wurundjeri, like country in East Kimberleys. And you can hear all the birds, and it's really beautiful.
Very, very solid choice. I absolutely love that record. So love that gets a plug today. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. And Alex, thank you again for coming to chat with us about the brand new EP from yourself, Rage, and all its friends. It's out right now when people are listening. But thank you again for coming onto the podcast.
No, thank you. Have a great day.